I'm going to be talking about how to make cash today. And this is going to be a discussion for those of you who don't know how to find your lane. You haven't found the crack in the dam. There's a percentage of people that learn this stuff and they're already very, very successful. Okay, there's people that I teach that run 8-figure business, 9-figure business, things like that. Some of these people I teach one-on-one on the phone, like literally just one-on-one. They're like top-end clients that I've had over the years. Luckily, I can usually help people to make, a couple extra percent, and when they're making that much cash, big, big win for them. Then I've got people that are maybe making a couple million bucks a year, and then I've got people that learn this stuff that could be flat freaking broke. Now, I believe that I have something to teach at each level of learning. So I want this to be a little bit, at least leading into it, for people that have not found their lane, people that could be broke, people that have just not figured out yet exactly what it is to do. Now, the hard part about learning about personal growth, when you haven't figured out what to do, is you're learning all these amazing ideas. Work ethic, hustle, focus, not having limiting beliefs, raising your standards. And, a big one that they talk about is raising your prices, right? You guys might have heard things like that. Don't have a limiting belief around your price. And so you hear things like this and you're like, okay, I get it. I need to learn how to receive. I need to learn how to have a strong sense of inner beliefs in myself and so on and so forth. But you don't have something to apply it to. And so you're sitting there and you have the inner game of a prince, but outer results of a pauper. And then what happens is that there's a lot of stuff in personal growth about things like law of attraction. And it talks about raising your prosperity consciousness and things like that, and raising your vibe, and that you'll attract money. And then you're thinking, well, maybe if I raise my vibe, I could attract money. And then you try to do that, but you realize that's kind of a pyramid scheme where somebody who says that if you raise your vibe, I raise my vibe and learn how to attract money by teaching other people how to raise their vibe and learning how to attract money, and then they can teach other people how to raise their vibe and learn how to attract money. Now, by the way, though, I want to make a point. Some of my buddies do that, and these are people that actually, while there's an element of that, nonetheless, they're highly, highly consistent in work ethic. They're very, very good at explaining things, and they work really, really hard. And for that, they get all the credit in the world because they're still executors. Say the word executor. Executor. Okay, so from that, and that was lame. Come on, executor. Executor. Good. So coming from that standpoint, I know that many, many, many of you have dealt with that. I get it. I totally, totally understand. And for that reason, I want to start showing you how to think about how you're going to find that crack in the dam. Say the word crack in the dam. Crack in the dam. Okay, come on. Crack in the dam. Louder. Crack in the dam. Okay, the louder you yell, the more you wake up and the more that you can actually remember what I'm saying. So I want to show you how to find the crack in the dam. Now, the first thing that I see, I'm first going to explain why you don't find the crack in the dam. The first thing that I see is what I call derping. Derping is leaving your mind in this kind of very, very passive gear. The passive gear that I'm talking about is the kind of thing where when I yelled at the corner there 2 minutes ago, sit down, it's because I try to encourage everybody around me not to derp. When I see people spacing out, I try to encourage them to snap their focus back to attention. Now, this derping problem goes very, very deep. Where does derping come from? It's a combination of mass societal demoralization. Repeat this after me. Mass societal demoralization. Say the word processed foods. Processed foods. Say the word bad sleep. Bad sleep. Low nutrients. Low nutrients. Messed up culture. Messed up culture. Attention span depleting. Attention span depleting. Social media. Social media. Television. Television. Entertainment. Entertainment. Low-level paradigm education. Low-level paradigm education. Depression. Depression. And a self-fulfilling loop. Self-fulfilling loop. So what happens with derping is that everything, and the big one, of course, is weed. That's the big one. Everybody's smoking weed these days. I live in California. Everybody smokes weed. Everybody drinks alcohol. That is also putting you into a massive, massive derp state. I could do a 20-hour seminar on what that stuff does. It's not a popular opinion. I'm not also into plant medicine and so on and so forth. Also a very, very unpopular opinion in self-help circles. Actually lowers my sales every time I say it. Every time I say I'm not in plant medicine, I'm losing money. It goes against most of the ethos of the self-help community. I'm just sharing what I believe to be true. I'm about 80% sure of my opinion on that, but I could be wrong. And a couple of my friends do plant medicine, and they're actually pretty cool. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not. So going from there, Okay, so these are also things that are depleting attention. Weed, in my opinion, is the worst because it's not that bad. It's really not. And for that, and it also has health properties. And so for that reason, this plant that really is a gift by God, which is meant for end-of-life care, is meant for pain relief in extreme circumstances, and is also meant for, like, you know, say that you had two warring tribes and you want to have a peace pipe, and the two warring tribes want to go smoke a spliff, and it makes them stop killing each other. I think weed is amazing for that. But what winds up happening is you're not trying to stop a war, you're not at the end of your life, you're not in chronic pain, and then you just smoke weed as a day-to-day habit, and it winds up dumbing you down. And all your friends are doing it, and it's now in beverages, and it's now everywhere. I'm not a big fan of the war on drugs. I don't think putting people in jail for weed is the correct answer at all, but it's a coping-based activity. You should, okay? It's really, weed is a coping-based activity like eating Cheetos is a coping-based activity. I'm not going to put somebody in jail or would vote to put someone in jail for eating Cheetos. I have coping-based activities. All that I'm saying is that weed is in the music, weed is in the entertainment, weed has become normalized, and all your friends are going to smoke it. And the single greatest fear that I have for my children is they're going to smoke weed. That's it. Like, out of anything I'm afraid of, the biggest thing that I'm afraid of is weed. And I grew up around it. It was everywhere around me, and it dumbs you down. But the other big one is TikTok, Instagram, social media that depletes attention span. The fact that even when I put up long-form content now, the average person can't even process it. And let me tell you something. I work with some of the best marketers in the world. One of my buddies that just walked in here, one of the best marketers you've ever seen, made over $1 million by 21. All of my marketer friends are telling me, okay, let me tell you what they're saying about you. Do you want to understand what marketers are saying about you personally behind your back? They're calling you dumb. They're saying that you're never going to get it. They're saying that you're hopeless. They're saying that you're a lost cause. They're saying that you're never going to get it. They're saying that it's a waste of time to try to help you. They're all saying that. They're saying you can't beat them, join them. They're too dumb. They're like the unwashed masses. That's what I'm not saying this. I'm that lone idiot that doesn't believe this, but y'all keep proving me wrong, and I'm angry. So what happens is that they say they've got a low attention span. Make dumbed down clickbait, dumbed down titles, put in a lot of jump cuts, make it controversial, make it dumb, make it shock, make it just low paradigm. And that's what it all is. And then I've got to sit there, I'll release a video with a good title and a good topic, and then I look at the views, and YouTube will show you the views. That's people watching this when I'm dead. That's a social media platform that existed. And what happened was, okay, you watch stuff on the internet before the VR takeover. So basically what happened was, literally I'll see the performance of the video, and it'll be ranked 10 out of my last 10. Then I have to sit there, and I've got to say, what is the dumbest possible title I can come up with? What is the dumbest possible thumbnail that I can come up with? Then I've got to sit there, I've got to redo it, and then it'll shoot up to like number 5 or number 4 or 6 or something because I dumbed it down, okay? And I don't do enough of that. They even tell you these days, you should spend like an hour on the content and like 5 or 10 hours on the thumbnail and on the title. They're basically telling you flat out as a creator, don't even worry so much about the actual content. Just do a stupid thumbnail and a stupid title and some bunch of jump cuts. That's what they're telling you. Why? Why? Because you respond to it. If you responded to better forms of content, they would make better forms of content. So that's just sort of this weird thing. I remember I had a pro marketer come to one of my seminars. I came there, and the people that come to my seminars, generally speaking, are sort of adapted to this paradigm of thinking that I'm talking about here. And so I came in, and I just told the truth. I told the truth the whole entire time, that it's about the process, not the result. It's about the joy of the flow, not the result, but that the result's also very important, and that you'll get that too. And I told a lot of truths like that. And I wound up doing a couple $100,000 in sales. The marketer guy that was there, I was eating with him at Amore something cafe on Sunset Boulevard, and he couldn't stop talking about how he's never seen anything like that. It broke his limiting beliefs that people would still buy from you if you didn't just spew this nonsense. He didn't believe that that was even possible. This guy was very wealthy. What does that say about society, that the top marketers in the world believe that you can't even be communicated with unless it is dumbed down? Think about that. And what direction is this going? Attention spans are depleting, sperm counts are depleting, everything's just depleting. Basically everything bad is getting more, and a lot of things good is going less. I'm exaggerating, but you know my point. So you've got to make a choice to say no to that system, okay? You're in that system. Everybody around you's in that system. You've got to make a choice to say no to that system. Just say no. Say that.
Say no.
Say no.
Say no.
Just say no.
Say no.
You just reject the system. Just say, I reject the system.
I reject the system.
Just reject it, okay? Perfect. I like that you're getting into this, okay? Just straight up reject it. Say no to the derp. Say no to the derp.
No to the derp.
Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to sit down and look at things that would require focus and ask yourself, am I able to sit and actually focus? How long am I able to sit and actually focus for? Focus, because it is so depleted due to the food supply and due to all the attention span depleting media and all this high sense of entitlement that this generation's had. It's about to get its butt kicked, by the way, all of us, by the way. But basically what's going to happen, I think anyway, I kind of hope not, but maybe for the best, we'll see. But the point being is that having an attention span in the future and not being a derper will be the single most hireable skill set in the world. Okay? As we move into the world of idiocracy, having an attention span will be the single most highly paid skill in the world. So that's the big one. That's the first thing that you've got to get. Now, building on this idea of derping, from there, what I want to say to you is, are you somebody who's looking at life passively, or are you somebody that's looking at life actively? Here's what I'm saying by this. What scares me is that somebody could be, say, at a restaurant, and you're broke, and you're not analyzing how that restaurant makes money. If you don't have the money that you want, you've got everything. You should be sitting there asking, how does Owen make money? How does the hotel make money? How do the people washing the windows make money? How does everybody make money? And the thing that you've got to do is not just make assumptions. Everybody wants to feel like they get it. I get it. I understand this. I know all this. No, you don't. Neither do I. But you've got to have that active mind that's constantly looking for different ways to make cash. And here's the really, really big one, okay? A lot of the best ways of making money, this is very, very subtle what I'm going to say, your mind won't allow you to perceive it. This is where a lot of those law of attraction people are actually onto something, okay? If you're in a low vibration state and that way of making money would provide prosperity to you that would be really, really high level, your brain will block it out. This is massive, okay? You could be dating somebody, and if you provide them with an amazing life, they will dump you, okay? If your life is amazing and you date somebody who can't handle an amazing life, they will dump you. They will rearrange and reorder perception to demonize you, and that doesn't mean you didn't do things wrong, because always both parties do things wrong. And you should also own those, by the way, if you want to be at a higher level and analyze that. But that said, if you live an awesome life, they can't come for that ride. If you run a business and you have staff and their life becomes completely amazing, if they're not built to be an amazing reality, they can't come for that ride. They will quit. They will go to a worse job. They will be broke or not as prosperous and have as many creative opportunities, and they will sit there bitter for years and years and years that you even showed them a better way. They will be mad at you that you even showed them a better way. The fact that you showed them a better reality that now they can't be a part of, they will be even more frustrated, and they will literally have to sit there for the next 10 years complaining, talking about someone they haven't seen for a decade, talking about you because their brain can't let it go. That is because they're not at a place where they're ready to receive that much light. Okay, the idea of wealth or prosperity or love or intimacy or fun or travel or expansion is light. Say the word light.
Light.
So you've got to be able to receive the light. Say, receive the light.
Receive the light.
Right? Great. That'll be a great clickbait when they cut me out of content. Look what he's saying now. I'm like, receive the light. And the audience is like, receive the light. They're like, look what he's doing. Okay, it's called a joke. But it's also in some ways not a joke. And what I'm saying is, you've got to be able to receive that much light. So somebody who's in a dark, dark headspace, if you show them a better way, they're not able to receive that. So the way that you get around that is you've got to also begin to raise your vibration, as they'd say, but also go to see teachers and mentors that are able to see these things very, very, very easily, and they're able to kind of translate it for you. So understand that if you're a teacher at a very, very high level, you are always having to take what you understand and you're having to dumb it down to get into the paradigm of the average person, okay? Let me also tell you this. The average person that I know who's got, 50 million, 100 million in the bank, they get it that money isn't everything. But if they're going to teach you how to make money, they can't say that, okay? They can't teach you what's actually allowing them to make the money, because if they do, you're not ready to absorb that yet. You're still thinking in a limited paradigm. It's like talking to a baby, okay? So the average high-level person, when they're trying to explain to you what it is that they know, they're talking to you like a baby. They take courses on how to talk to you like a baby. Okay, like I have taken many, many courses on how to talk to you like a baby. And when I forget to do that, I'm like, I don't want to have to, like, I just want to talk normal. Those videos get no popularity at all. But the ones that get popular are when I talk to you like a baby. So I've got to constantly be translating that to baby language, low paradigm language. And then the way that you do it as a teacher is that you talk in a low paradigm, and then you hook them in, and then you kind of raise them up a little bit. You show them a little bit more. Then you go down to baby talk. Then you pull them up a bit more. Then like a baby. Then you pull them up a little more. Then like a baby. Then you pull them up a little bit more, okay? Remember back when I used to show the real-life interaction footage. What do you think is my real purpose there? I'm talking to you like a baby. I'm going, look, you could talk to someone. Ooh, yeah, it's awesome. And you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, my body likes it, yeah. Like that, right? I'm like, okay, now you're going to get in a flow state. Oh, look, now you access the flow state. Wait a minute, now I can teach you a little bit more because you're in a higher vibe state. Then I start showing you the real stuff. Then all of a sudden, all those techniques that you learned at the low level, you don't even need them anymore because that's for babies. Then you learn it at a higher level, but then there's a higher level, a higher level, a higher level, a higher level. And so you keep going up. So understand that you're being spoken to like that. At the lowest level is the level of total utter derping, where you're sitting there, you're in a hotel, you're not analyzing how the money's made. You're at a restaurant, you're not analyzing how the money's made. You're at an event like this, you're not analyzing how the money's made. You're shopping for clothes, you're not analyzing how the money's made. Right? So how are you possibly going to find that crack in the dam if you're not analyzing where the money's made? You can't do it. It's impossible. So at the lowest level, the first change that you have to make is to stop being a derper. Say the word stop being a derper. Say it. Stop being a derper. Good. Good. Yes. And so that's the first level. So stop being a derper. In other words, if you're just like, I'm buying a shirt. Like, what are you doing? Buying a shirt. Okay, but you're broke. Yeah. Smoke weed every day, right? Buying a shirt. It's like, right, so you're not engaging your mind. So that's the first thing, is that at a low level, before you have cash, you've got to get OCD, and you've got to start looking at monetization models. You should also a big one is you should be looking at sales ads. You should be looking at long-form sales copy. You should be looking at social media. You should be looking at organic-based content money-making models. You should be looking at cold traffic-based money-making models. You got to be looking at everything. Everything, okay? By the way, even though a lot of the marketing technology that they created where they spy on you in your phone is highly, highly unethical, I mean wildly unethical, it's so unethical, it's only a society in a derp state that would even tolerate that. At the same time, it is what it is, still going. There is some positives to that kind of marketing too. What does it do for the little person, the fact that everybody's phones are spying on them and finding out their most base level niche interests with AI? What is that actually helping you if you're broke? Or even if you're rich? How's that helping you? Even though it's very unethical, but how's it helping you? Well, think about it. If you live in a city like, say, Cleveland, Ohio, and there's not enough people, say that you have some niche business, right? Like, you're not going to start a Walmart, you're not going to start a CVS because you're broke, but maybe you could start something very, very, very niche. Very, 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 very niche. And there wouldn't be enough clients in Cleveland, Ohio to help you to run a business. But if Google or Facebook wants to spy on the phones of the entire world, and they could find 100 people who like your niche by listening in on their phones, and then you had an ad for that, or organic content pieces for that, you could actually reach them. So ironically, while those companies, what they're doing is very debatably highly unethical, it still exists. It's not going anywhere. It's going to kind of come in and out of vogue and stuff as people care and don't care. But that exists. It does actually empower the little person. It does. There's some pretty good arguments for it. It makes it where the average person that's broke could build a multi-million-dollar company because, again, they might not have enough clients in Cleveland, Ohio, but all they need is like 1,000 clients if it's global, the whole entire world, and they can reach those 1,000 people with all the spying that's happening on the phone. So look at how much of a softer business environment it is today compared to 50 years ago when you might need to buy, a giant factory, or you might need to buy like a grocery store, like rent some big thing or some crazy nonsense. It's definitely gotten way, way easier. So going from there, by the way, I have been fighting the derp out of my mind for decades, okay? Because what I found was with social skills, it's all these moving dynamic things that are happening, and you've got to be aware of them. This is also what sports does, right? If you play basketball or hockey, I used to play hockey. Growing up, I was the biggest derper you've ever seen. But if you're playing hockey, you've got, say the puck goes in the corner, you've got to calculate how quick that guy's skating in on you. You've got to see if you can beat him in a foot race. You've got to shoot the puck up the ice while absorbing a body check, right? There's a lot of different things happening at once. But a lot of people that are unable to be successful, their parents didn't put them in sports. I was actually really bad at sports. I was always like the worst person on the team, but at least it forced me from being a total derper to at least seeing some of what was going on. I was always that kid where like the soccer ball would just roll by me and I was like, it would just roll by. I could be the goaltender. The ball would just roll by me into the net. I was always that kid. So my brain just wasn't working properly. I, at some point, recognized that as being a very, very big problem, and I committed to fixing that issue. And that also helped me in social skills and social results. A lot of what I do has a lot of moving parts to it, okay? And as you get older, you get better at that. You get better at managing the moving parts, okay? But anyway, let's go back to this idea. 50 years ago, you would have had a situation where you would have needed to have a factory, or you would have needed to have all these resources. Now, you can find a crack in the dam. Say the word, find a crack in the dam. Okay, you can find some kind of a crack in the dam. So if you can wake your mind up from derping, if you can get yourself into maybe a better, more expansive, higher belief system type of mood, and if you can start looking for opportunities, then what you do is as you go through society, you're always looking at how people are monetizing different things. So if you're someone, if you haven't found your lane yet, or even if you have, your next mission, should you choose to accept it, is to try to understand every single possible business model that you can possibly find. And I can tell you, hearing people try to give their opinion on my business model over the years has showed me the degree of arrogance and ego that the average person has. They truly do not understand almost anything that it is that we are doing at all. But nonetheless, you can make the decision to try to understand, okay? So now all of a sudden, you're not just sitting there drinking a milkshake, you're saying, how do they make money? You're not just sitting there trying to put on a t-shirt, you're saying, how do they make money? You're looking at different ways that people do sales, they do marketing, they make money, they make margins, okay? So that's the first single thing that you have to do. You have to have an active mindset, not a passive mindset. That's the first thing. Now, going from there into the next thing. Then what we want to do is, now that you have that very, very active mind, what we're going to go into is what it means to figure out what it is that you're good at. And what you're good at could be like me with social skills, where it's something that you're so utterly bad at that the thing that you're good at is that you suck so much that you come from the bottom and you can explain it very, very well because you came from the bottom. So it could be something that you're terrible at, but you're going to go completely obsessed with it and eventually become a teacher in it, or just some kind of a content creator in that subject. It could be something like that, or it could be something that you have a natural talent for, or it could be something that you're extremely passionate about. So either something that you suck so much that you can explain how to go from 0 to 10, okay? So you might even want to write this down. Something that you suck at so much that you could go from 0 to 10. Another one is something that you have a natural skill. People often refer to, say, LeBron James, right? Just this incredible talent from a younger age. Kind of just born to be this incredible basketball player, even though he had to cultivate his skills tremendously. Another one can be an area that you have an unfair advantage. So in other words, who do you know? Are you around people that are doing something. I hate to tell you this, but you can't just do anything. You can't. And a lot of what you'll build is who you know. Because, like, be real, right? Somebody could be my next door neighbor, come over and befriend me by just bringing over some food, get to know me, and let's say that I'm always doing live broadcasts and videos up at the crib. Now they're gonna be around me and my friends always doing live broadcasts. They're gonna have an unfair advantage as far as learning how to do the things that I do. That's an unfair advantage. Or it could be something like your history, right? Maybe your parents got you into something at a younger age. That's also really, really big. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, but when I bring my son Dylan up on stage all the time, and I will bring him up here and I'll have him at age 10 or 11, I will have him running communication exercises, and you've got literally a kid this tall yelling at grown men to be louder while people are cheering for him. But then other times he comes up and he starts crying because I bring him up when it's past his bedtime sometimes, and he melts down and he cries in front of 200 people, except I'm in no way mean. I'm never ever mean, but I also don't let him go off stage, and I let him sit up in front of 200 people and cry for 10 minutes until he stops crying and pulls himself together, and then also goes into his speech. I'm sorry to tell you, but when you're 30 and he's 30, he's gonna wipe the floor with you. That's just an unfair advantage that I'm giving him. He may choose not to cultivate that skill, or he may. That's up to him. He might go do nothing with it. He might be more introverted when he's older. That's his choice, not for me to make. In which case, he'll at least have some experience. Or he'll go on to become the best public speaker of all time, or a world leader, or somebody who has to fight back against all the bad stuff that's happening, which I've prepared him for. So it's one of these things where he has that unfair advantage. There's gonna be, ask yourself, what is your unfair advantage? Maybe your dad wasn't some public speaker, right? But what are some unfair advantages that you have? And you've got to start auditing that. What does your mind naturally connect to easily? Are you more of a words person, more of a math person, more of an organized person? Are you a connector? Now, I'll also tell you the two main skills that I think anybody can bring, whether you have no skills or a lot of skills. Here's the two that I think that anybody can learn. Number one, marketing. That's number one. I'll tell you why. Do you think that I'm looking for a Harvard degree in a marketer? No, you do not. Marketing is one of those subjects that moves too quickly for academia. Say the word moves too quickly for academia.
Moves too quickly for academia.
Yeah, moves too quickly for academia. So look for subject matter that outpaces academia in terms of innovation. Say the word subject matter.
Subject matter
that outpaces academia. The other one is high paradigm subject matter. Say that.
High paradigm subject.
Say that louder.
High paradigm subject.
And louder.
High paradigm subject.
So in other words, what happens is some subject matter is so beautiful and so ahead of its time in high paradigm that, again, it is ahead of the curve of academia, either at a higher paradigm than academia, or it is simply evolving too quickly, and the average professor in academia that has tenure or whatever you'd call that, they can't keep pace with all the developments. Like, you will never have a Harvard professor that knows more about marketing than Dan Kennedy. You're not going to have a Harvard professor that knows more about marketing than Alex Hormozy. You're not going to have a Yale professor of marketing that writes better sales copy than John Carlton. Frankly, I don't think most of them would write better sales copy than me. And I'm just some guy. So it's one of these things where you can learn that, and all that you have to do is just look up books on sales copywriting, principles of marketing, and you just sit there and you study it. And you study. And the way that I learned it was I would go get sales ads, and I would actually copy them. I'd literally just copy them out. So I would take, when I was learning, there was a company called Muscle Tech, and they would sell creatine, and they would sell protein shakes and things like that. It was like Nitro Tech and Cell Tech. And what it really was probably, probably like decent quality workout supplements, but $1 million sales copy. I mean, there was magazines like Muscle and Fitness that were loaded with these ads from this company, and they would have all these other supplements like HMB and different little mixes and nitro boosters and diet pills. I mean, they would take probably really bad for the heart like ephedra and stuff like that, and they would just sell you that as a way to get lean. And you literally would believe that the way that you get lean is by taking ephedra stacks. And maybe it's true, I don't know, but probably not the most healthy thing that you could do. So they would write all these different ads, and what I would do is I would sit there for hours copying them manually. So this is the most boring thing ever, okay? Copying out muscle tech ads is wildly boring. But what it did was I could put it to memory, and I could look at the structure. Then I could look at people like John Carlton or Dan Kennedy, and I could see how they were structuring those ads, and then I could understand what it was that they're doing. And I also had mentors like Eben Pagan, and I would actually look at his ads and other people's ads, and then I'd be reading content on marketing. I also teach you about marketing. I'll teach you here to do this weekend. And what winds up happening is that I'd start writing their ads out and memorizing it. Then what I would do is I would translate their ad into my own ad to see what that would look like word by word and translate it into what I'm teaching. And then eventually what I did was I would then translate that, or then I'd go from scratch. I'd go completely from scratch, and then I would write my own ads. That ability to write sales copy, both to do it verbally, but also to do it in written form, it basically means that you're not in the business of like the flower shop or the business of the car place or the business of the insurance company. When you understand marketing at a high level, there's only one thing that you're in the business of. It's called the business of making money. That's it. You're in the business of making money because you could take those exact same principles and you could apply it to anything. One example they'll do in marketing is they'll go get little wood chips from the Brooklyn Bridge and sell them for $100. Okay, so in other words, what they do, they take a wood chip, and with the right sales ad, they will convince you that sending $100 for a wood chip, or maybe for like a little green stone from Mexico that has a great story, and they will sell that to you. Also, think about it this way. I love Sedona. I'm obsessed with Sedona. But you want to know what's even cooler than Sedona? Zion. Okay, you ever seen Zion National Park? You ever been to Sedona? Okay, well, we got to work on that. You guys got to go to both. But if you're Sedona, or if you're Mount Shasta, by the way, obsessed with Mount Shasta, love Mount Shasta, hope to go there many more times in my life if I have a long life. If I die today, I'll be happy that I went. Mount Shasta, Sedona. Mount Shasta is like a smaller version of, say, Colorado. Colorado, loaded with mountains. Mount Shasta, just one mountain. Sedona is a smaller version of Zion. You see where I'm going with this? So what do you do if it's a smaller version? How do you make it as popular or more popular? What do? You niche market it. Mount Shasta is where you go to be spiritual. Sedona is where you go to be spiritual. If you don't, forget about Zion with the bigger orange mountains and red mountains. Go to Sedona because there's an energy vortex. Do you feel it? There's an energy vortex. Look at this. We're on the Red Rock. Wait, is this it? It's got an energy vortex. That's what they do. Now, by the way, Sedona is amazing. Go to, there's an amazing hotel there. It's called Enchantment. Amazing. Celebrities go there. Beautiful. You'll love your time. I could never spend enough time in Sedona. I could never spend enough time at Mount Shasta. They're great. But by making them niche marketed to be a spiritual mountain, now what you're doing is you can get more people there. What would just be some random mountain in the middle of California that's probably a lot less magnificent than all the mountains of Colorado, you can get a very, very specific niche audience who go there who want to have enlightenment or want to have spiritual awakening, and now they go to Mount Shasta. There's zero evidence whatsoever that Sedona or Mount Shasta have a real energy vortex. But I'll tell you, even me knowing that, I feel like there's an energy vortex when I go there. I can sit here in front of all you and be like laughing at the energy vortex, but I promise you, when I go to Sedona, I'm going to the energy vortex. I don't even know why. It's just enough people told me. Look, if all of us in this room were like, this is the energy corner, and everybody here was like, and they did that, wouldn't you at least be curious to go touch the corner of the table? You'd at least go touch it, right? So that's the power of storytelling. Story selling. Say the word story selling. So you create a story around it. You can take something and you can amp it up. people do this in tasting menus, right? If you ever go get what's called an omakase at a Japanese restaurant or an expensive tasting menu, you know, they bring you your steak with some vegetables, and they're like, this steak is, this is my accent, I don't even know what kind of accent, this steak is a grass-fed steak from this country barn with the animals get a nice massage, and this is created with the mustard seed from Napa Valley, grown in organic, and this little green thing is created from this other local farm. And you're like, and you sit there and you're like, wow, really? A local farm, organic. Oh yes, I could taste it. Okay, a lot of my friends love truffles. You guys know what truffles are? Truffle mushrooms. And if you love truffle, a lot of my buddies love truffles. A lot of my buddies love truffle. So I don't want to trash talk the truffle, okay? Like if you love truffles, you continue to love truffles, okay? In fact, the truff sauce is actually really, really good. You ever have truff sauce? Okay, but the point being is I love the truff sauce, but I have never actually really liked truffles. And every single year, they have truffle season. And truffles are these mushrooms that I think they have to get hunted down by a dog. Pigs, yeah, and they're like, there's like truffle wars, like they have like wars over the truffles and like all, you know, now you already want to try it, right? I'm not even done yet, you're like, what's this mushroom with the wars and the pigs and they're fighting over it like it's mushroom gold. And I eat these things. Does anybody here like get really like love truffles? Don't be shy, I know I'm clowning them, tell me. What do you like about these things? What do they taste, like what?
It's just unique tasting.
Like what?
It's foreign. Fucking delicious. It's delicacy.
I just don't understand. Every year, okay, I'm 43 this year, turning 43, and every year I go, and they're like, it's truffle season, right? And I'm like, I know it's got to be me. I've got to be the idiot here. I know that this is me. And I'm ready for the truffle. I'm coming in with a totally new, like, it's like I've taken the windshield wipers over my own perception. I'm seeing this anew. I'm forgetting about how much I didn't like the truffles. I'm going to love these truffles. And I go in there and I go to eat them, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck, you know, what is it, right? I don't understand what this thing is, right? Like, if you never told me the story, I wouldn't even notice these mushrooms. Now, because you tell me the story, I'm going to make myself like the truffles. So I'm going to be like, whoa, the pig, the war, right? The $400 bill for this freaking little bit of truffle on my steak. But it's the story, okay? It's marketing. It's what marketers do. So you guys should be also studying what are marketers doing? How are they selling things? How are they making them exciting? That will give you a huge amount of ability to be persuasive, even if you're never actually a marketer. It'll also show you how people are marketing to you. It'll also just show you general social skills. But even if you never, ever, ever use marketing, it's going to help you. Now, what if you use marketing? What if you're somebody who's trying to find the crack in the dam? Well, if you're somebody who's trying to find the crack in the dam, learn marketing. And it's a very, very highly paid skill that you do not have to compete with a Harvard person. In fact, if somebody came to me and said, I have a Harvard degree in marketing, I would probably not even do an interview with them. And that's true, by the way. I'm not just trying to make a point. I am trying to make a point, but that's not only why I'm saying it. Because I know that they're too far behind the curve. The best marketing is done, it's moved so quickly that very few tenured professors would keep up with it. It's moving too quickly. It's the same universal principles that worked from 100 years ago, but they're being reapplied to always this changing algorithm, changing methods of distribution, and so on and so forth, okay? So, also, anything really, really high paradigm. Ideas like personal growth are so high paradigm that the average person can't keep up with it. So as a result of that, not being able to keep up with it, it's also the kind of thing where you can teach that. If you can actually allow your mind to travel into higher paradigms, you can kind of bring the wisdom back to other people. Okay? So that's another thing that is really, really huge. Now, the other one that you can also do is use social skills. It's called being a connector. Say the word connector. Connector. Or say the word tribe builder. Tribe builder. So an example is, let's say that you're not like jacked like Brandon Carter, my friend, or Greg O'Gallagher. Say that you're not jacked like them. Could you still do a fitness channel? Yeah. Actually could, but how? Niche. You would do it as a tribe builder and as a list builder. So what you could do, for example, is you get really into fitness. You say, I'm not good at fitness. In fact, I'm just starting. And then you show your journey as a newbie just starting, not as a guru, not as an expert at all. show your journey, and then as people watch your journey, you get an audience in the fitness space, and then you can bring in other people. You can either A, sell their products directly as an affiliate, or B, you can actually bring them in to sell for you. You can say, hey, I have a list here of 10,000 people. I'd like to sell your products, and I'll give you access to this list if you let me keep the money from the product. Say it's a digital product, I'll let you keep all the money. So having lists is also really, really big. This is why people like Gary Vaynerchuk tell you to do social media. They're basically telling you to build some form of a list. You can do that even if you don't have a college degree. So you can be building lists if you don't have a college degree. You can be learning about high paradigm ideas and sharing them if you don't have a college degree. You can be learning about marketing if you don't have a degree. So these are other things that you can be doing quickly. Another thing that I've never done, but a lot of people have made money off of, is identifying bubbles. Crypto was in this major, major explosion in recent years, and I saw a lot of people get very, very wealthy off of that. Then it seemed, at least recently, I don't know what will happen in the future, I have no clue, because I'm not in a position to know, that the bubble kind of burst, right? My understanding is that it really shot down. But a lot of people kind of recognized bubbles, and they jumped on it. But then, of course, you'd have to plan your exit. That gets a bit hard, right? People that call themselves a crypto trader on their Instagram profile, a lot of them are in the poorhouse now, and I saw a lot of that. But if you can learn how to get out quickly, you can also recognize bubbles. Can be another thing, or recognizing trends. Another thing that you can also do, here's another really, really big one that you can do, and repeat this after me. Say, get out, say as loud as you can. Get outside. Get outside. The Overton window. The Overton window. And so what that means, my friend Ty Lopez, the way that he initially got, well, he got a lot of money even before. I actually knew him from before this. He was very wealthy. But the way that he really blew up was he recognized that YouTube pre-reel ads were cheap. So he was the first person. He had this ad called In My Garage. And he'd say, in my garage, look at this new Lamborghini I got, and all this kind of stuff, right? But you know what I like more than Lamborghini? Books and knowledge. And so what happened was, I watched Ty blow up with that. And I would see Ty doing all these huge, huge, huge ads that he put on the front end of YouTube. And it was because he saw an emerging platform, and he was able to do it for cheap. Now, why does Ty not run the In My Garage ad anymore? What do you think? I mean, if it's making money, why not keep running it? Because it's not good enough anymore. The platform is now more competitive. Initially, if you had an ad that was even half decent, you could get it for cheap and it will make money. By the time that the platform has matured, the advertising can get so competitive that not only can you not turn money just from getting back the $67 from the 67 cents that Ty would have sold, you would, in many cases, would have to lose money on the front end, even lose thousands. Use those thousands that you lost to build a list, and then sell things on the back end, and maybe the third product down the chain you actually broke even, and then the fourth product down the chain you made money. But if you do complex math, you could actually work out that math. So in a new platform, you just got to make enough money that you make, 1 penny more than you spent on the ad. But as the platform matures and everybody else gets on it, you've got to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It gets a lot harder. So from that standpoint, when you see early opportunities, you can sometimes jump on them, but I can also tell you that everybody has their early opportunity, and you don't necessarily want to just jump on every single opportunity, but that's also another way to find a crack in the dam. So let's just review some of the basic things that we just covered here, okay? Some of the first ones that we looked at here. Number one is you got to stop derping. Say the word stop derping.
Stop derping.
Okay, that's just obvious. You've got to stop derping. You've got to build your attention span. Say that. Build your attention span, okay? Then from there, you've also got to start identifying what it is that you're good at. You've got to start thinking about that all the time. You've got to start saying to yourself, where do I have talents? Where do I have unfair advantages? Where's areas that I suck, but I'm completely obsessed and can show from 0 all the way to 10? Then what you can do is you can look at things like marketing. You can look at things like social skills, okay? Really big one is anybody can choose to be happy. Anybody can choose to be social. Anybody can go out to bars and clubs and social gatherings and build a little tribe. Anybody can go meet people that are attractive. Guess what? If you have the ability to round up a group of attractive people, high-level business owners may want to get married or meet somebody, and they're going to come in there, and then you don't ever have to apply for a job because you have friends running high-level businesses. Would you guys ever imagine me having to fill out a resume? Why would I never fill out a resume? Even if I wasn't doing this and I wasn't running a business, but I wanted a job, would I ever have to fill out a resume? Why is that? I wouldn't have to do it because I know people. I would just say I'm available. And people would want to jump and actually get me to come privately onto their team. And I've done that before. So it's one of those things where the more people who you know, you don't have to try to find a job because you know a ton of people. So say that you know a bunch of people that are attractive and you can bring them out to little parties or things like that. Now you became a connector. So imagine that you're living, let's say that you're, a younger person or whatever age you're at, really doesn't matter. And instead of just being passive, like, you're at the store and you're trying on the shirt, what are you doing? Trying a shirt on. Instead, what you're doing is you're constantly angling for how different business models work. You're always asking yourself, how do different business models work? How can I make money here? You're always trying to understand it. You're always looking at your talents. You're always building up the knowledge of how to make money through things like marketing. You're always building things like lists. You're always building a personal brand online. You're also building real groups in real life. You can also do things like starting Facebook groups or starting social media platform groups or Discord groups, right? And you wind up being this person who becomes an iron cage away from all the BS. Like you become a trusted confidant. Like you guys know me. You know that if you're asking for advice on, say, supplements or something like that I've tried a bunch of them. So you know that you don't need to try, you don't need to go try, because I don't sell supplements, but I'm just saying, like, you don't need to go try a gazillion different things. You're like, I could ask Owen. He's probably, knowing Owen, he's probably figured out who the owners of that company are. He's probably seen where they source their materials from. He's probably researched a bunch of different stuff. So I don't need to go spend months and months doing that. I could just ask Owen. The truth is, you should always do your own research, but I'm just making the point, like, you can become that iron cage that holds people away from the BS. Now you also have value. And of course, there's also traditional methods, whether that would be college, whether that would be getting a traditional job, whatever, are also ways to make money. But I'm trying to show you examples of ways to make cash where even if you're just starting, you can begin to make cash right now today. And it's really an issue of being in high momentum, having a high sense of focus. And if you can just start to put this together, you can really get into a good space. And now all of a sudden what you have is you're looking at all the different personal growth stuff, like, say, releasing trauma, building social skills, or working on getting rid of limiting beliefs, or things like that. All this really cool stuff that you have in personal growth. And what this does is it gives you something to practice that on. Because it really, really sucks when you study personal growth, but you don't know how to put it into practice. You're like, well, I'll put it into practice by watching Joe Rogan. Or things like that. I love Joe Rogan. We're here in Austin, right? I love Joe Rogan. But I'm just making the point, like, it can't just be like, I'm going to go outside the matrix by doing DMT. It can't just be that, right? It can't be, I'm just going to go out of the matrix because I, looked at other podcasts that are out of the matrix. Or, I'm out of the matrix because, like, I know the real deal because, like, I went off platform and found some quirky information, which could be accurate, by the way. I love a lot of that stuff. But you know my point, right? There has to be something that you can actually apply this to. And then what happens is then this is when the real payoff happens, because now you have an area that you can apply this to, and then you can actually begin to really raise in your paradigm because you're able to put all this self-development content into practice. And that's really, really what I want for you, because for me, again, the money isn't the main joy in life, but you've got to have some kind of a quest or challenge that you can go out and do to apply these principles with. Otherwise, it's like, you're learning, like, just enjoy the process. It's not about the results, it's about the process. It's like, well, I don't have any results, and I also don't really have a process. Right? So I don't have the result or the process, but I can watch more self-help videos. So that's not a helpful thing. So in many different ways, this journey that you take is a beautiful thing because it winds up being something that allows you to grow, but you need that. It's like your personal life quest is almost like lifting weights in the gym. It becomes the weight that you're applying that growth after, okay? So I wanted to hammer this both for people that are brand new to making money, but also for people that are making money today, right? Even if you already are making money. Because frankly, what I told you about marketing and other things like that can also be applied. So if you do this, you will be shocked at the level to which you can change your life. It is truly, truly, truly shocking the extent to which you can change your life. It is absolutely shocking and mesmerizing. But again, you've got to find that first crack in the dam, okay? And once you do that, you're off to the races. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, could you guys give yourselves a hand for enjoying this first day of Summit? Thank you.